right, y'all. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Tough weekend for our Vols, for the fan base, for everybody. Obviously, coming into the season, I would say this first and foremost, with everything that went on. Lost our starting quarterback, lost our two starting cornerbacks, and that was during the season. We lost one of them in the offseason, lost the other one in the first game. Two guys that I think as a tandem were probably, if not the best in the country, for sure top 3 or top 5 really good players. We talked about the whole offseason defensive tackles. We have 3 guys that we know about that they're good. We lose 2 out of those 3 to kind of start off. There was a lot of folks that picked this team to go anywhere from 9-3 to 7-5, which after the Georgia game, people started to kind of change that thought. And we picked Tennessee to go 10-2 preseason because we have enough inside information that we have a little bit of a better understanding of how things are operating. So I want to kind of start off just by giving some credit where I think it's due at. The staff did a good job with kind of like a makeshift roster in several key places. The changes to the offensive system in the offseason were 100% necessary. Offense looks a lot better. Down the field passing came back. Like I said, defense, losing some key players in key spots isn't easy to overcome necessarily. So we're angry, and I'm very angry. I'm almost to the point, y'all, I don't even know if I'm even in shock. Sometimes I don't know if I'm even dreaming or what. Like, is this a nightmare? Because the playoff picture for us is pretty much gone. But we lost a game at home, at night, with dark mode versus a team that we should have beat by 20 or 30 points versus a team that I wouldn't be shocked if they don't win another ball game for the rest of this year. That one hurt because it put us out of the playoffs. But then, for me, just personally, the loss to Georgia, that one really hurt because they tie a 9-game winning streak that Tennessee had set versus them. They would have tied up. We ain't going to see them for, I don't know when, They're not on our regular schedule. Also, too, our schedule for the past couple of years has been very favorable. For the next couple of years coming up, 26, 27, it's going to be a whole lot tougher, right? But to lose 2 of our 3 ball games at home, the one on the road to Alabama, that's a game that even after the mishaps, even after the pick 6 heading into half, when we're right on the freaking goal line, we still had a chance to win. So there is frustration. I think that it's been earned, okay? But I do want to give the credit that, hey, man, this staff was able to put together a roster that was makeshift and put us in a position where we feel like, man, we should have been a playoff team. Change people's perspectives from this ain't a playoff team to, hey, we're pissed off that we didn't make the playoffs. That's where we should be. That's where Tennessee fans should be. That's where this program should be. So you got to give them credit for that. But you also have to say, well, y'all had the chances to win these ball games and you couldn't close out. So some tough decisions need to take place. You know what I mean? And I'm not one to ever want to see anybody get fired, ever. I never want to see people get cut or any of that type of stuff. But I do have to set the stage and set the tone so that people completely understand that this is a bottom line business. That line is winning, especially big games, when it counts. This year, we took a step back with that. I mean, it's been some other things that you could point to in previous seasons, but this one, most talented roster that we've had, even with the mishaps, right? But that's football. That's life. Things will come your way. You've got to be able to overcome. The staff got about 90% of the way there. But we need that extra 10% too. This is a fan base that ain't just, hey, we ain't taking the back seat to nobody. Most of us, We expect excellence. We're going to demand excellence, and that has to come. What can we do for the rest of this season and in the off season to build up so that we can get there, so that we can feel very confident about an SEC championship and not even be worrying about the playoffs, because really this is a team that not making the college football playoffs is a big problem, especially the way that, especially the way that things went down. Now, I'm not saying all that just to trigger people. It really is just so that people understand the tone and what this video is. The reason that we're going live is because I want to get people's thoughts. We wanted to do this at the time that we're doing it, try to catch people on y'all's lunch breaks and all that. Leave your thoughts down inside the chat. I'm going to try to get to everybody. But I got a lot that I need to break down for y'all, okay? We have a lot of things to go through today. And, we're going to, I guess as best as we can, try to give like an educated take on all of this. Because, of course, we feel some type of way. Like, we're Tennessee fans on this channel, too. I mean, obviously, just like y'all. The feelings and thoughts that most of y'all have, we're right there with you. But we want to try to clean it up. You know what I'm saying? Clean it up. Because it's one thing to point out issues, but do you have an answer to the issues? Or do you even see light at the end of the tunnel? On this channel, that's all of us. That's just how we're built. Again, life throws you curveballs. You got to find a way to either hit it or take the walk or whatever you got to do. You got to find a way to win, baby. That's it. It's all about winning. So y'all, please do us a favor. If you would, please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Please make sure that you're doing that, because it really does help us out in a major, major way. But I'm going to start to tap into these chats, and then we're going to get into the video. I want to make sure that I take care of the people that get in here early. So this one is from Gilead, Tennessee. Thank you for joining us. Saying GBO all day, every day. You already know, bro. I mean, that's just how we rock. It's, look, forever. It don't matter, good, bad, ugly. We still Tennessee Vol fans, right? We not fair weather fans. We don't give up on our teams. But I do think that we have to make some changes. So for my dog, Timmy G, what's going on with you, Tim? Hey, look, I hope that y'all are all having a great Monday. I know it's not probably going as great as it could be, but I do want for y'all to know that, man, look, we're right here with y'all, okay? So, Tim, hope that your day's going great. But Tim's saying that that one hurt. Hope that we can finish strong and hold on to our recruits. Excellent point. We're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about a whole lot of things. So Bishop Franklin, all right, a long name there. Thank you for joining us. All right, awesome heavyweight fight, brother. Yeah, I'm not sure if you mean Tennessee versus OU. I would say that wasn't it. Like that was, and thank you for the positive words for sure. But I would just say, from my perspective, that was a guy. If we're gonna talk about fighting, that was a guy that you think, hey, they should win this. They got every chance to win this. They come out and just lay an egg. I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe it's a heavyweight fight, kind of. To me, it was almost like a heavyweight versus I don't know, whatever is up under heavyweight, because there's so many different classes now in boxing. But y'all understand what I'm saying. Oklahoma is not on Tennessee's level. Oklahoma is a bottom half of the SEC type of a team. Like I said, what's really going to piss people off is seeing what they do for the rest of the year when they get smacked around everywhere that they go, because they're not that good. They have they do some things that can give you some trouble, but if you figure that out, it's a pretty simple, there's some ways to be able to beat them. I'm not going to keep on going back to it, but we have to find ways to win. We have to find ways to close out when it counts the absolute most. But again, thank you so much for your thoughts and for your comments. For my dog, G White, been rocking with us for such a long time, bro. Shouts out to you. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. Some things had to happen. Some things need to change. This one right here from Dog. Hey, Dog, I really like that name. I don't like the way that you spell it. Let me just tell you that, dog. If DOG is how we spell dog. But anyway, I'm just messing with you. But he says that he thinks that y'all the most consistent offensive player is Staley. Okay, so maybe you're not a Tennessee fan. Maybe you're a Georgia Bulldog fan. I'm not sure. But I would say that we have several players on offense that are very consistent. I mean, Chris Brazel's consistent. People overlook the offensive line. The offensive line, we got players that are very consistent there too. We do some things consistently. It's really not even as doom and gloom as you think. Like we said, I mean, Tennessee came into this season, the margin of error in the SEC is very small, but we came into it, I mean, with almost like a hand tied behind our back. Maybe you got like an elbow that you can use to fight with some. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like a total arm, but you don't. But it's like you got one hand and then you got everything else. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that even makes sense to people, but it's like we were handicapped some, but with such a small margin of error, it really is amazing that the staff was able to get this team to a point that the fan base had the expectations to win every ball game. All right, so this one's saying drop the link. Okay, I'm not sure what we're dropping links for, but if let me come back to this. I'm not sure what we're dropping links for, but let me know down in the comment section. I just want to make sure that I didn't miss something. Okay, so I'm gonna get to this one right here from Trevor, and then we're just gonna jump on in. I'm sorry, not from Trevor, but from Tay Coleman. Thank you so much for being a member. Thanks so much for joining us all the time, bro. All right, so yeah, the transfer portal is going to be huge, not just for Tennessee, but for every team in the country. It's one window for everybody. It's no more you can't transfer to the SEC type of stuff. So yeah, we need the depth on defense. We need the depth everywhere, my brother. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. Let me tell y'all, the first part of the changes for me has to start with the staff. And as I said to start things off, I'm not a big people need to get fired guy, but at the same time, I am a very big principle. I'm a very big bottom line sort of a person. We got to be able to win. So for the offensive coordinator, who is Joey Halzle, I think that he can work on some things and try to get better because to his credit, to Coach Heupel's credit, in the offseason, they changed up our system that wasn't working last year. Wasn't really working in 2023 either. But he needs to work on the rhythm and the patience within his play calling. And if he can't get that figured out, if he can't show that over the rest of the year, if I'm Coach Heupel, what I would do is I look at these two offensive coordinators that come from the same system. So we have Coach Gordon at South Florida. Obviously, they run that veer and shoot because Coach Golish, he's the head guy. Tennessee doesn't really run a whole lot of veer and shoot, but that's still, I think that he's going to understand what Tennessee wants to do. I like the rhythm and the patience within their play calling a little bit better than what we've shown so far this year. I think that they'll be able to figure out, what Tennessee's doing now with more pro-style elements, and we could be fine there. This is just my personal candidates. Doesn't mean that these are the perfect two, but it's just what I've seen so far. And then we have Mitch Militello, who I want to say was either like a GA or he was analyst or something on Tennessee staff previously since Coach Heupel's been here. He's now the offensive coordinator at Kennesaw State. Coach Mack, who was Tennessee's running back coach, here, like a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, something like that. Listen, Kennesaw State's a team. I got a cousin playing down there. Shouts out to my cuz. Love you, bro. But they went from a team that literally was maybe the worst in all of FBS to being a team that's about to make it to a bowl game, to being a team that's really got some good things going. So that would be my first two candidates. Again, if we feel like Coach Halzle isn't the guy, let me know. Do you feel like Coach Halzle isn't it? I mean, I think that he's going to be fine. I like the way that he's changing a lot of what's going on, whether it's him, whether it's Heupel, whether it's both. But we probably do need to get somebody that can help us out with the rhythm and the patience within our play calling, period, point blank. So at number 2, defensive coordinator, Coach Banks, I think that he's fine too. Like, listen, we talked about it. Having so many key injuries is tough. Having so many young guys having to go out there and play in a defensive system that is maybe a little bit more complicated than most defensive systems, but it's also going to be better if you have the right players who know what to do than most defensive systems. I would say that if he can, find a way to get better depth. So we talked about the offseason changes that we have to make within our personnel. Got to get some more depth, but also like with fundamental stuff. We have to really emphasize that it's the basics to football, period, point blank. We started to do it. I feel like last game we just looked so much better. But some of that's also going to be predicated off of the talent. Do you have the guys that are strong enough, that are fast enough to get to the right spots to be able to make the plays, so on and so forth. I don't have it up here, but I'm also say strength coach is another thing for me. Not so much because of the injuries, but more because of we got to be stronger at the point of contact. And that's something that we'll talk about as we get deeper into this thing. But if we're going to move on and part ways from Coach Banks, and keep in mind that every time that any coach leaves from this staff, especially coordinators and all that, some of the players that we have that we hope will come up, some of the players that are already on this team, they might want to leave because that coach isn't there. That is a big part of things. That's why I'm not huge on firing people. That's why I'm happy that we've held on to who we've had. So, pretty much since Coach Heupel's been here. I don't hate it. Make some tweaks. Try to hold on to him. That is a good thing. It can be a good thing. But if we are going to make that change, I would say that Jim Knowles is about that's about the only guy that I'm personally looking at and saying, hey, we might have actual chance to be able to go get him. Could be an upgrade. Everybody else is probably going to be more of like the same type of stuff. Because also understand this, whenever you bring in a totally new coordinator, it's a totally new mindset with what the defense wants to do, with who they want out there. Okay? So the players might not like that either. And we talk about the learning curve for the young guys. Well, now you got veterans, but they're learning a totally new system. So now everybody is young. From like a mental standpoint, that could be positive, but that could also be negative. So I want for people to understand that it's not as simple as, hey, bring in somebody and it's just plug and play. But I do think that Jim Knowles, who's coached different systems, I think that he can do a lot with our current personnel. He would be the guy. Now, I'm not calling for Coach Banks. That's not where I'm at. But if we have to make the move, for me, it's Jim Knowles or bust. Right now, he's at Penn State. Last year, he was with the Buckeyes. His defenses are always good. I don't know if I can't think of a time his defenses were ever bad. So that would be my choice. Now, at number 3, special teams coordinator, Coach Crabtree. So I think that what he needs to do is go find a kicker. Got to do that. You got to find some guys that can fill the punts, make some things happen, fill the kicks, and make some things happen. Some of that, it might have been his hands are tied because who knows what personnel the head coach gives him to operate with, or some of the other coordinators or different pieces. Because typically on special teams, you don't have your guys that are starting on offense and defense out there, typically, right? So he might have had his hands tied some. I think this might be his first year as a coordinator. But the discipline aspect is something that bothers me. Again, goes back to what personnel did he have to work with. So he might not need to get fired either, but I don't like what the special teams have looked like. He definitely needs to go find a damn kicker. And he definitely needs to, the players need to be playing a lot more discipline. So if we're looking at some special teams coordinators, I like Kenny Perry at Texas Tech as one of the best special teams in the country. Also like Patrick Dougherty at Texas A&M, one of the best special teams in the country. If we go pull those guys, maybe maybe you make the move. And then within our secondary, Coach ET's been coaching cornerback since they've been really good. Okay, I think he needs to take over the teaching and the coaching of all of our secondary players. He has to be able to oversee that because I really like Coach Nez on a personal level. I think that he's a really good dude. I think he does a great job talking to the parents, finding talent. He finds underrated talent. He's able to close out on that. But I think that the game maybe has passed him up some, and I could be off, but I just think that maybe the game has passed him up some from a teaching and fundamental standpoint. Because right now he's coaching more safeties. It's not Coach Banks. It's Coach Nez. He's coaching more stars and safeties than he is corners. Because they know the Coach ET's doing a hell of a job with the corners. Now he's a secondary coach, so he's gonna move around everywhere. Also like Coach Allen Williams, but I just think that Coach Nez needs to be there as more of like a face and less as a hands-on sort of a coach. That's just my thoughts. So let's move on. All right. These are the players that I think need to play more for the rest of the season. Both of the Jadens playing at backer. They need to get more time. And understand something. For me mentally, obviously we want to be able to win every single game. We're still playing for pride. We're going to play for these seniors. We want to send them out well. We want to make sure the guys that have a real shot, a real chance to get drafted or get picked up by NFL teams, that they look good too. Got to do that because that's going to come full circle, right? But there are also some guys that I think that have started that are more veterans that might not need to play as much. They probably need to sit down. They either won't be back next year because they can't be, or maybe they've been passed up. And I don't think that whatever money that we're spending on them, we might be better suited to spend that elsewhere. Hate to say it, I'm going to do my best not to single people out, but y'all probably know who I'm talking about. All right, y'all probably know some of the names that I'm thinking about. But both of the Jadens need to play more. We need to figure out what we have with them. We also don't want them hitting the portal because I think that they're both really good. And also Jordan Burns. He hasn't looked the best versus the run, but he's a guy that's a really good athlete playing at backer. Like whenever you look at Oklahoma, one of the things that they have are several really good backers. We could have one of the best linebacking rooms in the entire country if we're going to hold on to the guys that we need. But that's 3 of them right there for sure. And then number 2, Marion Dye. He played a lot to start the season off. Hasn't played as much here lately. Now we got some veterans playing the strong side end that will need to, put more film out there and try to put up some better numbers and all that type of stuff. But Marion Dye, he needs to get some burn. We got a bye this week. Next week, we got a team that all these guys should be able to play a lot. So Marion Dye is going to be one of the critical pieces for our defense next season. So we've got to make sure that he feels confident, that he feels comfortable, and that he's kind of like learning and getting better because we're going to need him. Next, I think that Campbell, Ethan Utley, and also Charles House playing the defensive tackle, they need some more reps. It's kind of a similar situation where there are some veterans that we want to, hey, man, like y'all play, but at the same time, maybe we can keep them fresh by putting some of these young guys out there because we really have to figure out, hey, do we have to go to the portal to add a veteran defensive tackle, or do we feel like these guys are this close to figuring things out and we can save some money there? But we gotta be smart with all this stuff. So at number 4, young tight ends, and I could have put Ethan Davis up here too. He's more of a veteran, but I think that he's going to be back next season for us. Those guys need to play more, okay? They need to play a lot more. And then you're looking at the young wide receivers, Travis Smith, once he comes back, they need to see the field more. They need to feel the love. They need to know, hey, man, look, next year, a whole lot of great youth is coming up, but y'all are probably going to be our guys. Y'all have a chance to fit into one of the starting spots. Sidney Walton at safety needs more reps, okay? Because I think that he can do some good things. Tim Merritt, I think he's going to be one of the depth pieces at outside cornerback for us next season. He needs more reps. Dylan Lewis, Trey Poteet, I think that they're stars. This staff should come out, maybe not publicly, but at least to these players, especially Dylan Lewis and Trey Poteet, to them and to their families, and say, listen, we really messed up with the star position this year because y'all should have played some. Y'all should have got more reps. And they didn't. But make up for the lost time, we need to hold on to them. Because one of the things that we'll talk about is we need a true star. I think that those 2 guys could be part of that. We could have a lot of depth there with people who you can rotate in. And there's not a true drop-off. But I think that they are true star players. And I love those guys. I wish that I could tell them personally. I might try to reach out to them. Love those guys. Stick with us. This is y'all's position next season. We need y'all. This defense is going to be a lot better with y'all than without y'all. Stick around with us, okay? Love y'all, boys. All right, so number 8, man, I got GMAC at the very end. Why is he at the very end? Well, because he's not our number 2 quarterback. So to get him more reps, you're just going to have to pass up Merck, or you have to get Merck out there. I mean, it's going to be weird. It's a weird situation. But keep in mind that over the offseason, GMAC was our best quarterback. He outperformed even Joey Aguilar. And I know that the narrative out there was, hey, in the last scrimmage, Joey Aguilar looked the best. I think that was like a little bit of propaganda being pushed out there because he was the guy anyway, because he's a veteran, because he's bigger, because he's probably more ready. But it doesn't mean that GMAC can't operate. I trust him to come in and operate. It looks like he's gained some weight and all that too. So he needs to get some rest, but how do you get that done? That's my question. And I'm not quite sure on that. But these are the guys for me, okay? So moving on, right? These are the players on offense that's on y'all's left. Defense is on y'all's right that I think are basically starters or have played a whole lot that can be back for us next year. Now, if it's gray, it means I'm not sure. So starting off on the left side with the offense, Joey Aguilar, looking at what Pavia had going on with all the years that he played versus Joey, I think that Joey could technically get another year if he wants to go through all the proper channels and all the work that it takes for that to happen. If the staff wants him back, so on and so forth. As I just said, I can tell you from what I know that GMAC really was the better quarterback all offseason, just in like the operational standpoint. I think that some of the flaws that that Joey might have as far as not really being able to read the field very well, I think that GMAC's going to be better there. And it's not even just on pure passing plays, but it's something I didn't talk about. Don't want to speak on it too much, but I think that even within Tennessee's RPO game last week, brother, hand the damn football off. What the hell are you trying to throw it for? Because we had a very favorable box, and the running back has a huge wide open hole, and you threw it out there when we were super covered up. Or you tried to, like one of the sacks that we had was on Joey trying to throw the football in an RPO situation. It just didn't call for it. So Yeah, I mean, he could come back. That could help us out. Tennessee has to probably go get another veteran quarterback anyway, because I don't know that Merck's going to stick around. So you need somebody that can at least be like a veteran backup quarterback. This is my personal caveat. If we're going to have Aguilar coming back next season, it's got to be a true open competition where if either GMAC or Faison beats him out, then they actually get to start. You know what I mean? And that's something else, man. The staff has to do a much better job of that. I don't care how old or how long somebody's been here. I don't care about none of that stuff except for who can help us win at the highest clip. That's all that matters. So I think that Deshaun Bishop's going to be back. Obviously, Peyton Lewis, he should be back too. I don't think that he's going to transfer out. He should be able to get like a lot more reps and carries and stuff next season. At tight end, Ethan Davis and then Jack, they're going to be back. Both of those guys. Ethan Davis hasn't played too much here just because he's been hurt, but he looks really good, doesn't he? Wide receiver, Braylon Staley, Mike Matthews, back. We're going to hold on to those guys. We're going to find a way to hold on to those guys. Offensive tackles, Jesse Perry, David Sanders, they'll be back. All right. Offensive guard, Wendell Moy, I think that he's an NFL guard, but the thing about NFL guards is it's not a very like high value put on those guys. And I've seen it here more recently that offensive tackles that are kind of twinners, they draft them as guards. So does Wendell Moy like his does he like his draft grade enough to leave? Or does he want to try to come back for one more year? If he's not like the number one guard in the country, you might want to come back and see if he can do better, because I think that he can. But it's not to take away and say that he's not an NFL player, because he definitely is. He's very, very good. So I don't know about that one. But Sam Umarov comes back. I think that he's had a very solid season. He's taken several steps forward. Really, Coach, he's doing a good job with the offensive line. They're taking, like, they just look so much better. I know that people are like, oh, David Sanders missed a block. Bro, like, we talked about it all week long. It is playing up against a defense that gives you that many, like, funky looks with stunts and with blitzes. You're going to miss some stuff. Everybody has. Like, we're not the only team that's missed some stuff. It's not like we were getting manhandled. We just didn't always know who to pick up. He's a true freshman. That's going to happen. All right, and then Sam Pendleton, right? So he should be back. So a lot of veteran depth potentially coming back for us next season. But I would say that out of those players, if they are eligible to come back, we're going to make sure that they get paid first. So on defense, Devin House probably has to come back. Nathan Robinson probably has to come back. Tyree Weathersby, I think that he's back. I could maybe also put Marion Dodd in here, but we already talked about him. And Leo Caleb Herring, he could go pro, especially if, you know, any of these guys, if they have a really strong end to the year, they could all go pro. But Jordan Ross, he's back. We got some good depth in all these spots, too, that I think I think that we will be fine, especially with our front. And then at linebacker, I think everybody's got to come back. I don't think anybody can go pro. Cornerback, Ricky Gibson, I don't think that he's going pro. I hope that he comes back to Tennessee. I hope that he doesn't transfer out, but we're going to probably pay him so that he can and will come back. Tyler Redmond, he's going to come back. I love what he did in the previous game. You know, he made some plays. He looked a lot better tackling and all that type of stuff, coverage, so on and so forth. He's just a true freshman, taking some big-time steps forward. We need all the depth that we can get with our skilled players. And then safety, Edris Farouk also had a really good game on Saturday. Okay, so he's looking like a real safety. Like I said, him and Sidney Walton, really like what I've seen from them so far. I think that we've got two guys that we want to hold on to for the future. Don't make the same mistakes twice. Last year, we let three of our safeties walk. Maybe, you know, one of those guys, maybe, you know, whatever, maybe you can let them go. But as far as those two, I would like to hold on to them, okay? So let me jump back into the chat and let me see what people are talking about here real quick. So G. White, he's saying that he thinks that we have to coach more consistently. Why does our offense and how we call it change so much? Okay. From taking the underneath to must have big splash plays to win instead of underneath and running. I agree with that. That was one of the things that we talked about yesterday. And really, we talked about it some to start it off too. You got to be a lot more patient, and the rhythm of the play calling has to be better. People keep on talking about, man, our running game isn't very good. Well, part of it is the rhythm in when we're running the football. After every big passing play so far this year, we're going to run the damn football, and everybody on the face of the planet knows it. When are we going to break that habit? Like, when are we going to break that tendency? That is disgusting, and it has to change. Run more on first down. We start every single game off with a play action throw. It's been successful, but the tendencies is what people are keen on. Switch it up. Like, be more unpredictable, you know, and call runs in better situations. I think that we can do a lot better at that. Okay, so G's also saying, while taking the big shots when it's in obvious busting coverage. Yeah, for sure. All right, so Omar saying that Kisselman so far has 6 drops. How is he still taxed with catching the ball? I don't know, but I think part of it has been just because we haven't had as much depth, but we have more now. So we'll see what the staff does. Dog is saying that there's a good chance that they lose Matthews and Brazel. Brazel's going pro for sure. Matthews is not gonna. He's not leaving. Neither is Saylor. We're not gonna let him leave. We're just not gonna let him leave. Why would they leave when they both had excellent seasons? That doesn't even make any logical sense. And the reason I'm saying that is because I don't think that you're a Tennessee fan. You coming in here trying to start stuff up. But Brazel obviously he's going pro. He's got a first round grade. But we've got other guys who are coming up, which we'll take a look at in just a second. So Daniel is saying that he's right here with me, and that Saturday's game shook him and makes him question Heupel's team to play consistent winning football, and that Georgia and Oklahoma games are tough ones. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're better teams than both of those guys. And so Dog is asking, do I think Tennessee should be in the playoffs every year or every other year? Yeah, I do. I think that that's what our goal is. And I know that some people will disagree with it. And it's been so many weird things that I've seen out there about like resources. Bro, Tennessee has the resources. And I can tell you all that from being very close to a lot of the players that are either in high school or college, and knowing what the going rate is and knowing what Tennessee's offering them as far as NIL and all of that. Because obviously with things like revenue sharing, it's going to be pretty consistent. Now, some teams will dedicate more funds to different like spots on the team than others will, right? But I mean, with the NIL part of it, Tennessee is competitive with anybody in the entire country, and we can be. If we want somebody, we can outbid anybody. That's where we're at. So with the resources that we have, yeah, we should be in the playoffs every single year for sure. Like, there's no doubt. If we don't make the playoffs, it's a disappointing season. And so this one from Bishop. Okay, all right. So Bishop is an Oklahoma fan. That right there might be it for you, dog. So from Omar, okay, yeah, I don't see such mistakes with other teams. So everybody is gonna make mistakes, but yeah, that Oklahoma game, that Georgia game, really some very critical mistakes. But like I said, you got to keep in mind what we did with what we had. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we were in a spot that we feel like we could have won, but we very easily, with a different, maybe staff, with a different head coach, those games would have been blowouts. Like, this could be a 6-6 team, honestly speaking. All right, so this one from Hub. So what happened to our running games? That's something that we just kind of talked about. He likes the passing wrinkles, more routes added to the route tree, but our running game, who's led the SEC, feels like it's stepped back. Yeah, so that's something that we did just cover. I think that it's kind of like a perfect storm. Obviously, the running game is going to look better whenever you're spreading the field out all the time, running tempo, running on super light boxes. Now that we've played with some tighter splits, the box is not as light. We're trying to run more outside zone, which we're not, we're still just kind of like trying to figure it out. But just like little small things on every single play where everything is blocked, but maybe one person trips. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the offensive linemen trip, or maybe a running back misses a hole, or it was a stupid time to try to call that play. You know what I mean? Or it's RPO and we're handing it off to a very heavy box when we should have passed it. It's little things like that. Football is a game of inches. The difference in the margin for error in being bad to being good to being great, it is like super small. So I'm not really down on it. I just think that it was a perfect storm where, we have to figure it out for sure. We got to make some changes in what we're doing, I think, on all levels for the running game to get better next season. So this one from Dog, he's saying that Ethan Davis is finally looking like a star. He sure is. I'm going to get to this one from G White, and then we're going to move forward. So this one from G, he's saying that he felt like the 73rd ranked Oklahoma offense just took the underneath, ran the ball. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that with their offensive system, especially the way that they were operating for like the couple of games leading up to Tennessee, we knew that, and we showed y'all how many times. Go back, watch the film. You know what I'm saying? And take a look at the passing chart that we showed y'all. It was like the little middle area, like 10 to 15 yards from the line of scrimmage. That's where they want to go. The quarterback didn't feel confident or comfortable really going down the field. Tennessee did a good job of taking away a lot of the vertical stuff. And we just, there's some things that we could have done better, but really the defense played well. I really don't have too many complaints about the defense. The offense is what let us down. How the hell does that happen? I feel like Coach Heupel, he's got to coach within himself. I know that you wanted to showcase that offense versus Oklahoma, but let's not do stupid stuff by throwing the football vertically all the damn time. Run your offense, coach. Like, run your offense and take your shots, and don't just take shots all the time. That was a huge part of the problem. But let me show y'all Tennessee's 2026 class real quick. All right, so we're ranked 8th nationally. This is from On3. 24/7 Sports has us ranked number 8th as well. 5th in the SEC. There's more coming, y'all. I can promise y'all that. There's more coming. We're going to take a step up. This is the first season that Tennessee's been ranked in the top 10. So we're doing a better job in bringing up talent. If you think that Tennessee doesn't have the funds and the resources, this should tell you otherwise. If you think that players don't want to come play at Tennessee, if we're not showing and proving, if they don't like the guys that we have on the staff, this is going to tell you otherwise. That's just not the case. Now, winning, I think, is what's going to get us over the hump where we turn into like a top 5 team. We could be a top 5 team in 2026. Let me tell it to y'all like that. But obviously, Tristan Keys, stud wide receiver. Everybody wanted him. Guess what? We got him. I don't think he's going anywhere. He has a chance to definitely play for us next season. Whether it's as a starter, he's going to play some. Faison Brandon, stud quarterback, underrated. You know, I think both of these guys are probably underrated. We already know they're going to drop people's ratings whenever they choose us. But go out there and smack folks in the mouth and prove them wrong. But Faison Brandon, freaking stud. You know, daggum star. I don't think he's played too much this season, but daggum star. Moa, love him. Told y'all. You know, he was number 1 on my personal big board. He can play wide receiver at a super high level, and he can also play safety. We haven't had a talent like that at safety, and we're going to talk about safety. I'm going to tell you, I've been looking at the transfer portal. I'm going to show y'all some folks that I think Tennessee needs to go target. But yeah, he's a guy that can pretty much do it all for you. Freaking stud. Love him. Hope that he sticks around with us. Wyatt. I mean, everywhere, right? Athlete, 6'4", 200 pounds, having a great season. Safety, for sure, I think he's going to get his first start there. He's going to get his first chance there. Linebacker, too. Fill out. You can play in space, can't you? For sure. Defensive end, talking about Leo. Edge rusher, he can do that, too. What about offense? Wide receiver, tight end, he can do a lot. He wants to be here at Tennessee. He's a freaking star. Let's talk about these backers here. TJ White, Mike. Okay, Mike, linebacker, middle linebacker. At 6'1", 225 right now, and he can move, he's going to, by the time the season starts, 235 plus. Physically ready to help us play football. These are Coach Inge's guys now. That's one of his guys playing at Mike. He should have a chance to daggone fight for a freaking starting spot. Then you got Brandon Rouse, who I think, hey, he can play Mike, he can play Will. Space guy, long guy, coverage is beautiful, understands football on a super high level. Very new to playing linebacker, too. All right? Great hands. He's going to make plays for us. Add that depth to an already very talented linebacker room. Y'all do the math. Y'all can add it up. Disgusting. Offensive line. You know, I love all of our guys here, but the thing about it, offensive lines are already very deep. Offensive line is already very deep. I don't think any of these guys will have to come in and necessarily play for us. That's just me. But can they? Maybe, right? But really good one here. Hezzy Harris, strong side in. Leo. Really good player. Everybody wanted him. We got him. Tyreek King, in-state, Knoxville kid, right? Wide receiver stud guy. Inside, outside guy. Can do it all for you. Very passionate about our Vols. He's coming up. Add the depth. How many good wide receivers did we just go through, y'all? We didn't have this depth last season. We got it now. We're going to have it now. Okay? Blair, tackle, guard. He's going to fill out, and he's going to be a serious problem. Very good player, in-state kid. Totally gets it. Excited to see him join us and help us go win national freaking championships. What about Zach Groves? As a 6'4", 240 kid, I think that whenever they did this, he was like 14 or 15 years old. He could be a defensive tackle or a defensive end at a super high level. Okay, super high level. Love his game. I think he's going to be sticking around, okay? Then we got Big Albert. What have we talked about since the offseason? Let's go get some big guys in the middle that can plug up freaking gaps. 305 now, teammates with TJ White. These guys get it, coming up as a daggum unit, want to make plays, want to help us win. Albert is a guy that he's going to have a chance to really rotate in for us, right? Because 305 now, he's probably bigger than that. Coming up on campus at about 320 plus, 330 plus, that's what we haven't really had so far this year. We need a lot more guys like this. He's going to have his chances. I love Zayden Anderson, as another, like East Tennessee kid. He's a guy that, me coming up playing corner, I know that position better than anything else. I know it when I see it. Didn't take me long. He's got the skill set, height, length, speed, in and out of breaks. Beautiful. Outside corner, star if you need be, safety if you need be. He's a freaking stud. All right, then we got Legend Bay. I've heard some things he might move around, but wide receiver, athlete. He could throw the football, gadget piece, wildcat stuff. Got to hold on to him. Throw some extra money in there. Make sure we hold on to him, right? Kedrick Golston, strong side end. Love his skill set. He's a guy that can come in and add that depth. Darrell Rivers is super underrated. 3-star here. That's a laughable joke. He's already 270. He's playing for one of the best teams in the highest classification in the state of Georgia that's loaded with talent. He's one of the bright spots there. Brother, he can come in as a true freshman and maybe fight as a for sure second string sort of a guy. He's a major problem. Got to hold on to him. All right, then we have Combe, safety, really good player, great skill set, gets ball, teammates coming up, right? This staff's doing a good job of adding teammates, guys who totally get it coming from some good programs. Bring them up together. Let's go win some championships. Love him. He's going to have his chances to get out there, show and prove that he can play for us at safety. Luke Thompson, I think that we wanted him to play at safety. Very new to playing it. Just a super athlete, great speed, track guy. I think that he might be better suited with the ball in his hands, so maybe offense or on special teams. Give him his shot there. But as far as safety, might take him a couple of years to learn how to play it before he can really help us out. But that's just more depth. All right, and then with KJ, I think that he's a star. I think that he can play it well. He could also help us out at safety. CJ Edwards, Leo, might take him a couple of years, but who knows? He might come in and help us out. Jay Smith, and then, this guy. Listen, both of them, I think, outside corner and star. We're adding more true star depth. And then I think Ed Baker, guard. We talked about what the offensive line is going to take some time. And then at tight end, we just added this guy, I think, yesterday or whatever. But already at 250, adding him to a deep tight end room that doesn't necessarily, I don't think need too much help, but he's a guy that can help us out. So with all those things being said, I feel very good about just like the transition from what we had to do to finish this year off. Show and prove. Show the young guys, show the guys that we need to target inside of the portal that, hey, we're going to do right by you, and we just need a little bit of help in certain areas, and we feel like y'all can help us out. Do that, this team's going to be fine. Now, there are some other things that we definitely have to talk about, right? Like, obviously here, let's talk about just like the off-season focus. The number one thing for me, I have 8 things total here. This is just the first page. This is not in like any real order, but I would say that the number one thing's got to be a fundamental focus: offense, defense, special teams. We got to do a better job of coaching that up. We also have to do a better job of finding the players that already have it. Okay. So if we're adding anybody else on top of what we already have, whether that's portal, whether that's the 2026 class, they need to show that they have good fundamentals, or at least the willingness to learn that and to sacrifice to do what it takes to make the tackles, to make the blocks, so on and so forth. But then at number 2, I think that bigger and stronger at defensive tackle. I could echo that pretty much everywhere. I think we have to get stronger at the point of contact, but that's a huge deal for this team. Our defensive tackle, some of those guys losing weight. I didn't understand that. That's not a positive thing. Big guys need to be big guys. We don't need y'all getting smaller. Okay, maybe cut some fat and then add the weight, but you should never go from 315 or 320 to 305. Not playing at defensive tackle. Right? Unless you're like, you should at the end of the day, hey, we cut 10 to 15 pounds of fat and then we added some more muscle. Now, this is going to sound crazy, but there's probably some supplements out there that can help us out with it that we can't get popped for. That might sound crazy, but that's football. That's what everyone's doing on this level. People who can figure it out, right? Like, creatine was a big deal back in the day. It's still a legal substance, but people were pretty much calling that steroids. There's some other stuff out there now. Figure it out. Get these guys going. I want to see 10 to 20 pounds on almost every single player on this team moving forward so that we can go win us a daggum national championship. Now, we have to get a lot more athletic at linebacker as well. And really, for this whole first page, y'all, I think that we either have the coaching staff to get this done, or we already have the players on the roster, or we are bringing them up. This is not about portal stuff. But I think that we can do that. But obviously, we have to do that. We've got to get a lot better out in space with our backers. Number 4, man, we need true stars. We've already talked about. I think that we're on the right track there. But hold on to those guys. Don't let them leave. We got to get bigger and stronger at center for Sam Pendleton and for Sack. I think they need to add about 10 to 15 pounds worth of muscle. As I said, the adding of the weight is not a sacrifice in speed by any means. You cannot sacrifice speed doing this stuff. If the strength coach, if we got to go find somebody else, don't want folks getting fired, but go find somebody else. All right, and then last thing on this page is we need more depth at the skill positions. We talked about wide receiver. We've already, pretty much taken care of that, but hold on to what you got. And then in the secondary, we might have to go add some folks because I think that we're going to be losing some folks. But you got to bring in players who can play right now, okay? And then obviously running back, I think that we're pretty deep there. We should be able to hold on to everybody. What else? Linebacker is kind of like a skill position. I think that, we'll be perfectly fine there. Maybe tight end some, right? You could call that maybe like a skill position, sort of. I think that we're fine there. So that's where I'm at with this part of it. Now, let me just get to this last part, and then I'm going to tap back into the chat. So these are the two positions that I've already scouted. I've got some names up here for y'all and what we need to go and target inside of the portal. Number one for me is we got to go find the best kicker that money can buy. Got to go find them, okay? Because what we have right now, that ain't getting it done. So the first guy, Jack Cassidy from Western Kentucky. He's a junior currently. He's got one more year left. This guy goes about 6'6", 230. He's only kicked 2 field goals, both 55 yards, made them both. It's a big, strong guy. I think he's from Ireland. He's going to have a certain level of toughness to him that you covet for your football players. And I don't give a damn what you play. I want some tough kickers. Put his butt out there. I would have him for sure for those longer field goals and just try to build off of the skill set that he's already built. Okay? Is he going to be the highest paid kicker in the country? I think that we can make him that. And I think that it's worth it. But he's just, for me, just like our long kicker guy. I would also add Patrick Durkin. Okay, he's a freshman right now. I went through, looked at a whole lot of different kickers, metrics and all that. So that 14 to 15, that's from, 19 to I think 50 yards. He kicked 150-yarder, made it, but 93.3%. I think that he's going to be money in clutch from about really, you're looking for the guys that are good from about 40 to 50. If you're really good there, you're probably going to be a very good kicker. So I would bring him in if, we don't go through all the whatever scouting that we do and say, hey, maybe he can kick the 55-plus yarders. I'd bring in both of these guys, and he'd be the most of the time kicker for us. And then Jack Cassidy, which is a hell of a damn name, bring him in as a tough, rugged guy, and let him kick those big boots. So after that, man, at safety, and we showed the film of these guys, both of the guys that we're going to be talking about here, to our members. Okay, so if y'all missed it as members, y'all go and check that out. But we showed y'all all of their coverage snaps. You'll see with PFF some of the stuff that they're saying, hey, these guys are being targeted in coverage. It's like, were they really? No. But either way, my number one guy would be Ty Goodwill, 6'2", 200 from South Alabama. Okay? I would like to get both of these guys. I would like to maybe add 2 safeties from the portal, 2 veteran safeties. But we at least need one guy who can start for us. But Ty Goodwill, you'll notice, both of these guys tall and long. I would say both of them really good in coverage, but the first guy, Ty, he's more of like a coverage safety, but he can also thump you. So he's like an all-around guy. But on the season so far, he's been targeted 12 times, giving up 6 catches, only 35 yards, no touchdowns, no first downs. You might say, well, who's he playing up against? Bro, South Alabama produces good players. And I looked at Power 4 guys too. This is just about the guys that would still be eligible that aren't, that this isn't their 3rd season playing college ball. Because if this is your 3rd year and if you're good, you should be going pro. Right? These guys, I think, are future, first two day guys as safeties. I don't care where they're playing at. They have the skill set, have the length and all that. So everything that you're looking for. But that's the first player. Next guy is going to be Corey Myrick, 6'3", 200. He plays at Southern Miss. Been targeted 19 times, gave up 9 catches, 47.4%, only 47 yards, 2 first downs. He does have 1 pick. So he's a guy that I think looks really good in coverage, but he might be more of like your thumper, more of your box safety with the size, with the length. Get him with the resources that we have here at the University of Tennessee. And both of these guys just turn into, I think, freaking all-world players. But as I stated, there was a couple of guys that I had on the cusp from Notre Dame. Those are about the closest to making my cut. Let me see if I can pull up their names for y'all real quick. Y'all won't be able to see it, but I can see it inside of my notes. Let me tell you who I had. I actually got it down to like 1 guy from Notre Dame. Where are we at here? I might have taken him out. Okay, so Tate Johnson. He would be the other guy. He's 6'2", 192, targeted 20 times in coverage, gave up 13 catches. That's 65%, 163 yards, 7 first downs. He does have 3 interceptions. I think he looks pretty good in coverage, shows some good traits, but just wasn't consistent enough for me. And we have another guy, Greg Smith, 6'4", 195. I think that he might be from Arizona or something like that, but I don't think that he looked great down the field in coverage. But let me go on ahead and pull myself back up and make this big and try to tap back into the chat, because there are a lot of things I think that we might have actually we might have missed a whole bunch just because there's so many chats that have come in. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to all of them, y'all. But I do want to get people's thoughts on. Right, so this one right here from Corey Braswell. He's saying that the offensive line coach must be fired. That unit has steadily gotten worse all season to the point now they can't even run the football. They can't protect in critical situations either. So this is something that we did talk about, y'all. I know that there are going to be narratives, and part of what we do here is to show you what's actually happening. We don't really have too much of a dog in the fight just to like mislead you or to lie to you. But we watched the all-22 film and we understand football. Yeah, there was some pressure that was given up. Actually, Tennessee got more pressure on Oklahoma last game than they got pressure on us. And we showed y'all that, I think, in yesterday's stream. But the offensive line has actually been very good. It's like way better. I'll say it this way. If we had the same, and I'm not trying to take a shot, but if we had the same offensive line as we had last season, we would have given up probably like 10 sacks in that game. You know what I mean? Just because that's like I think they have the most sacks in the country, you know? Some of the sacks, like at least one of them was actually on Joey Aguilar, wasn't really on our guys. For the most part, we picked up stunts and blitzes very well with the run block, and we've already talked about it, and we might make a whole film breakdown showing you what the problems are, but I'm kind of trying to save it for after the season because, and what difference does it make anyway? Just because, I mean, shoot, like we're not in the playoffs, but I don't want to try to hurt our team whenever I'm putting out film breakdowns, but there are reasons that the running game is where it's at. I don't think the offensive line is terrible like some people might think. So this one from Dog, he's saying that he's not a Georgia fan. He hates Georgia. Well, listen, you just went up a lot in my book personally. I think that we can get along, bro. Like we might have our differences, but I think that we're on the same page with that. So love to see it. All right, so right here he's talking about Rick. Okay, so Tennessee needs to be more aggressive in the portal if Danny White thinks that they have Texas money. I think that Tennessee, yeah, and you know what, Dog, I don't know who you're a fan of, but I can't say that we haven't, obviously in the portal last season, I don't know how much money we had left over with how we're paying some of the younger guys with what we wanted to do for 2026. But I do think that we could have held on to some safeties. I think that we maybe could have gone out and gotten another wide receiver, but that actually worked out for us. So I can't be overly mad. But yeah, this season, I think that we do have to spend, we have to do a better job in the portal as far as holding on to players and then going and getting more players. So G's saying that Halsley fundamentally good, but he's got no rhythm in situational calls. 4th and 1, quarterback perimeter sweep. Dog, how about quarterback tush push with the offensive line this deep is money? Yeah, I think that giving the football to our quarterback in that situation maybe wasn't the best call. And I also think that we talked about George GMAC earlier in this video. I think that he's going to be a better runner than Joey Aguilar is. I think that it might not fire Tim Banks because they could lose a lot of, yeah. There are a lot of players that really do like Tim Banks. So you also have to watch out for that. They don't trust the offensive line, obviously. I don't think that that's the case. I think they really trust the offensive line. And the way that you could tell is like they keep on rotating in so many guys. I think that they feel like they're deep. Again, Corey, bro, I don't know why you're not a member, but because like you always join us, you need to be a member. You can see all that stuff on film. You can see it. The offensive line really does a good job. It's not always perfect. I think that there are some things within our scheme that kind of hurts us from being able to run the ball. But I think that they do trust this offensive line. Keep in mind, that's the best. Pete, I told you, that's the best front seven that we've faced all year. It's the best front seven that we're going to face all year. We're not going to face another one better. Unless maybe our bowl game, maybe, but that might be the best front seven in the whole country. Like, let me take this down. Their defensive tackles are freaking, like they're loaded up front. And then their linebackers are also loaded and they bring blitzes from everywhere, stunts from everywhere. It's not as easy as you might think. And I think we did a pretty good job versus those guys. Okay, so let me pull this back up. All right, just because, man, there are so many chats that I'm not going to be able to get to. Sorry, y'all. All right, so this one from Tay saying, I think that our offensive coordinator has gotten better and from last year to this year, yep, for sure, and that our players just have to execute. and catch those passes, pick up on blocks. Yeah, I mean, people tend to forget we have more drops probably than anybody in the country. And Webb is asking, Webb, I don't know about your picture, but let me read this off. So, do I think that that their offense needs to slow down sometimes? Or that they either score fast or three and out fast, defense gets gas fast. Okay, so that's actually a pretty good point. You're gonna have to work on that profile picture. Looks like you might be a Dog fan. Looks like you might be a daggum Mutt fan for those UGA cowards out there. But yeah, I mean, I do. I think that we have changed that since Coach Heupel's been here. That's more of like a gimmick. You want to be able to use the tempo whenever you want to use it, and then be able to slow things down. So for sure, I mean, our defense sees the field more than any other defense in the whole country, like way more snaps. It's not all just because they can't get off the field. Most of that's because of the offensive tempo. That makes things hard. Okay, so G White, he's saying that Banks, yep, his in-game stuff isn't good. Yeah, so Blitz, and let me also tell you this, G, and everybody else. You know that we're, as far as the SEC, I think that we're like number 3 or number 4 as far as how much we are dialing up blitzes. You know, I think some of that is going to be execution. All right, so Banks was a co-DC at Penn State. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel you, bro. I just don't. I don't think that the grass is going to be as green as some people think. I really, really don't, because I've seen some like not fundamentally sound calls with a lot of defenses, because man, like we do watch so much film, so we see and like we focus on what are the other defenses calling versus what we're calling. That's how we can get a like grasp on maybe we're behind the curve here and there. Like we talked about last year, hey, we need to be blitzing more, right? This year we are blitzing more, so we're making the changes. But I just think that it's, I don't know, man. I think that if you're going to make that change, you better go get somebody that's proven, because this defense, it was very, very short-handed, and you know, I think that we did relatively well. All right, yeah, for sure, yeah, I would definitely take those. So Rick, he's saying to Corey to stay put, that the best 5 on the line, and it pisses. Okay, yeah, so I don't like all the mixing and matching that we did, especially versus Alabama. I think that was stupid in that game. But you do want to give those guys some breaks. Banks Unit played great in the first half, but the O line didn't play complimentary football. Ooh, no way. That's just me. I don't know that I would make that move. I do know that his coach, or I'm sorry, not his coach, but his father loves Tennessee. He's always very complimentary. If you watch the CBS Sports broadcast and all that, he's always pretty complimentary of Tennessee, I guess, because we played his teams. Like Tennessee was one of the few SEC programs that would go out west on a consistent basis. But I think that he likes us because we went out there and we played them, and we played them well. But I don't know if that would be a move that I would make, because his system is like so different from what we do. It's totally different. And then he's pretty new to calling plays. I don't know if that would be the best move either. That's just me personally. All right, not saying that you're right or wrong. You could be right, but I think that we just have to make a couple of tweaks to what we already have. Max Gilbert, yeah. Hate to single out people, hate to name names, but I am out on Max Gilbert. You missed a game-winning field goal, you know, game-winning chip shot field goal versus Georgia to end the streak. You go out there versus OU, you miss another even easier chip shot. I was already done after Georgia, but he's done nothing to change my mind. Go find somebody else. You know, just go find somebody else. That's what I would do. And I'm also say this. I'm so serious about that if we don't do it, I am personally going to be, you know, considering putting Heupel on the hot seat just based off of that, because that's a pretty obvious change that needs to be made. Don't keep sitting around on your hands. When you see that there's an issue, you got to go upgrade there for sure. You need a kicker that's a lot more clutch than that. All right. So Rick, he's saying that where's the Boo Carter punt return? So Boo Carter, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, but and that was something I was talking about earlier, is that I just think that maybe the special teams coordinator, his hands were tied, because we said, hey, Boo's going to go out there. And we tried some other people. And we even talked about, like, well, why isn't Boo out there? Well, I think now we understand why. But why don't we have some other options? It shouldn't be that damn hard to catch punts. It is hard, but you should have about 4 or 5 guys that you feel confident with catching them. That's on the coach to get them those reps. It's tough with special teams, because special teams typically gets leftovers, but you have to figure it out. So yeah, I mean, but that's why Boo hasn't really played defense. I don't know if Boo's going to play for the rest of the year on defense. Wouldn't be shocked if he does. Corey's saying that Gilbert is a scared ass dude. He does look too nervous for my taste. Gilbert does not have a stoic poker face. Got the who me look. Yeah, that's exactly how I look. Yeah, yeah. All right, but yeah, let me not even. I don't want to rag on him because these are young men. I just don't think that. I just think that we're not. I don't think that he really wants to do it. Like, go get some folks who want the moment because I think he probably hates it. Like, I don't know him, but that's just how it just looks like. Man, dang, I got to go ahead and kick. Like, go get some folks that want to do that. Um, so this one from Brandon, he's saying that Coach Nez needs to go. There's no need to hold on to this guy. The secondary has been suspect every year. Um, yeah, I mean you could be right. I just know that Coach Nez does a really good job. Players and parents like him. That's something that I can tell y'all. Players and parents like him. So I wouldn't want to necessarily get rid of him from that standpoint. I don't know if they'll like Coach E.T. or Coach Allen Williams. They might not be as good with the parents. That's a huge part of this. Like, you got to be able to coach on the field, and you got to be good with like your people skills. Now, I don't know that Coach E.T. and Coach Allen Williams aren't good with people. I don't know that. I'm just saying that I don't know that they are either. So I think that you got to kind of be careful. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of facets to coaching on this level. It's not like NFL. It's not even, it's harder than high school too. All right, so I thought for sure that Gilbert would not make the cut after he went 0-3 versus Kentucky last season. Yep, I think so. I think that we're all on the same page. Tennessee can't start a redshirt freshman at quarterback next season when they have Texas, LSU, Alabama. Yeah, I mean, I disagree with that. I don't think that it's going to matter. Like, Tennessee's got a good offensive line. If the redshirt, it doesn't matter if it's a true freshman. What the hell difference does that really make? If they're ready to play, then they're just ready to play. I mean, look, the schedule is tougher, but I'm not scared of those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not scared of that. I don't think that the team's scared of that stuff either. I think that we got dogs on this team, GMAC being one of them. GMAC's a daggum dog. GMAC's a lifelong, grew up from the time that he was inside of the womb. Folks have been talking football to him. Folks have been teaching him football. He knows the game. He knows Tennessee, loves Tennessee. I think he's got what it takes. I ain't scared of that. Hey, look, we want all the smoke. Bring us all the smoke, dog, because we ain't scared of it. All right, so Jack saying, yes, we can. All right, easily. I'm not sure. I know that we're super late and super, like, way back on these chats. Okay, so I'm going to try to skip down. Let me see. Let me actually take this down real quick, but I'm going to skip down and try to get to some of these different ones because we do have to wrap this up. Yeah, so this one right here from Roca saying that Tennessee beat themselves. Hey, I ain't even mad at you for that because it is true. Joey goes for the first read first. Yeah. I think some of that too is part of the. I mean, like, whenever you look at the all 22 versus OU, when I tell y'all that all the routes were vertical, it was literally everything went vertical way too often. It might have been 50 to 60% of the time. The only checkdowns, the only underneath routes, which is a huge part of route combinations and concepts, is having the underneath stuff that goes more to like the middle, was on checkdowns with running backs and tight ends coming out of the freaking backfield. Inexcusable from a coaching standpoint. We didn't help Joey out because, like you said, he wants to throw it deep. We gave him a bunch of deep options, and I just don't think that he handled that very well. All right, so Jeff, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for being a member. Saying not only is Hypo having issues with in-game, yeah, that's true, but we are additionally extremely predictable with our tendencies, our cadence, snap count. Yeah, I think that there's just a lot of things that we can get fixed, that we can change. Let me get to my dog right here saying that we need Braylon for sure. Big play guy, no question. Sawyer Roberts. Yeah, I don't think that Sawyer Robertson. I don't think that he's going to come play at Tennessee just because I don't know that we're going to go get a guy that's a for sure starter. That's just me, and I could be totally wrong on that. Maybe we do it, but I don't think that we would. All right, but if we have to go get one, then yeah, he would be a very, very good option. The North Texas quarterback, cool. I haven't been able to watch enough of him. Yep. This one right here from Jack. Okay, so let me get to this one right here from Jeff. He's saying that Joel Wyatt will be a stud. Hopefully we can make him a safety. Okay, y'all, so we have a lot more. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to be able to get to them, but final thoughts here. Tennessee has to make tough decisions within our coaching staff, within the personnel, all that type of stuff. But we got to get this right. This is big. This is a big end of the season for Heupel. It's going to be a really big offseason for him too. If he can just, I think, get the proper depth, get the proper personnel, he's shown improvement that he'll make the necessary changes, I think, from like a coaching standpoint, from a scheme standpoint, for us to have the opportunities to go out and have a much better team next year. Which I think we will have to be better just because the schedule will be tougher. But those are my thoughts, man. Y'all please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Please do leave your thoughts down in the comments section, and we will be talking to y'all tomorrow. Thanks. Peace.